If you have a car loan, a credit card balance, student loans, or a mortgage right now, I need you to keep watching, because what I'm about to show you could completely change how you see every single one of those payments. Millions of Christians are carrying debt right now, believing one of two lies. Either that it's a sin they're too ashamed to talk about, or that it doesn't matter to God at all. Both are wrong. And by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly which category your debt actually falls into, because the Bible is far more specific about this than anyone has ever told you. Don't skip this one. This is the video most churches are too afraid to preach. Be honest with yourself for a second. Have you ever looked at your bank app, seen a balance you owe, and felt something heavier than stress, felt actual shame? Like you're failing God, not just failing at money? You're not alone. And here's what's wild, that shame you feel. It's rarely coming from Scripture. It's coming from sermons that quote half a verse and skip the other half. Today, we're reading the whole thing. Because here's the tension. The Bible never says debt is a sin. Not once. But it says something else about debt that's honestly more serious and more useful than a simple yes or no. You've heard this one. Proverbs 22 verse 7. The rich rules over the poor, and the borrower is the slave of the lender. Preachers love this verse because it sounds like a verdict. Debt equals slavery equals bad equals sin. Case closed, right? Except, read it again. It's not a command. It's not, thou shalt not borrow. It's an observation about power. Solomon isn't handing down a moral law here. He's describing a reality. When you owe someone money, they have leverage over you. That's not a sin declaration. That's a warning about vulnerability. So if it's not a command, where does the debt is sin idea actually come from? Romans 13 verse 8 says, "Owe no one anything except to love each other." This is the verse that gets weaponized the hardest. And on the surface, it sounds definitive. Don't owe anyone anything, period. But here's what almost nobody tells you. In the original context, Paul is closing out a section about civic duty, paying your taxes, honoring your obligations, living rightly among others. Many serious Bible scholars read, "Owe no one anything," not as never take a loan, but as don't leave your obligations unpaid. Don't let a debt linger unfulfilled. That's a completely different message than borrowing is sin. It's not about whether you owe, it's about whether you repay. Feel that shift? Because it matters more than you think. Here's what nobody preaches on a Sunday. The Bible doesn't condemn debt. It condemns three specific things around debt. And this is where I need you paying full attention, because this is the part that actually applies to your life. The first thing the Bible condemns is presumption. James 4, verse 13 to 14 warns against confidently planning your future without acknowledging you don't control tomorrow. Debt taken on with reckless certainty about a future that isn't guaranteed, that's the presumption Scripture warns about. The second thing the Bible condemns is exploitation. Exodus 22, verse 25 and Leviticus 25, verse 36 to 37 specifically condemn charging excessive interest to someone in need. Not the existence of a loan, but predatory terms that trap the vulnerable. The last thing the Scripture condemns is unpaid obligation. Psalm 37 verse 21 says, "The wicked borrows and does not pay back." Pay attention now. It's not the wicked borrows, it's the wicked borrows times and doesn't repay. The moral weight isn't on the borrowing, it's on a broken promise. So the real question was never, is my debt a sin? It's this. Was I presumptuous when I took it on? Am I paying it back in good faith? And am I on the borrowing or the lending side of exploitation? So let's make this personal. That student loan, not a sin, but was it taken on with wisdom or presumption about a future income that never came? That credit card balance? Not inherently sin, but is it sitting there unpaid while you spend on things you don't need? That payday loan you took out at 300% interest, or one you profited from lending? That's the part Scripture actually calls out by name. This reframe isn't permission to borrow recklessly. It's actually a higher standard than debt bad, no debt good, because it puts the responsibility on wisdom and integrity, not just a number on a balance sheet. So here's what I want you to do right now. Comment one word. Are you carrying debt that was presumption or debt that was necessity? Be honest. Not for me, but for yourself. Because until you can answer that question, You're not actually dealing with your debt biblically. You're just carrying guilt someone else handed you without ever checking if it was true. If this reframed how you think about what's in your bank account right now, comment truth below. I read every one of them. And in our next video, I'm breaking down the verse most churches misuse to tell you debt-free means faith-filled, and why that's not what Scripture actually teaches. Subscribe so you don't miss it, because the next video might hit even closer to home than this one did.